Hey guys, what is up? It is Simmel here. I just recently, a few days ago, got back from BronyCon, and boy did I have a time. It was really a lot of fun. It's the third year I've done it, and I brought back a lot with me. Memories and physical artifacts, so I'm gonna talk about both of those right now. Like I said, this is the third year that I've done it, and the only reason I go to BronyCon in the first place anyway is because I work for them as one of their mascots. BronyCon has 3 mascot pony characters, Main Event, Blank Canvas, and Hoofbeats. I play Hoofbeats, along with 2 other friends of mine, Wiggles and Blue. And it is a huge amount of fun. Honestly, I wouldn't even go to BronyCon if I didn't have this as a job. It is just such a fun time. What I do at the con basically is what all of us do. We go around in character. We interact with guests, attendees as those mascot characters, and we do a bit of event hosting. We do moderating for some panels, and it's a lot of fun. So I'll give you a breakdown of how it went. So Wednesday night, I left here to go to SeaTac Airport, and I actually left a little bit later than I should have because I did not take into account the fact that boarding time is slightly ahead of when the plane actually departs. So when I got to SeaTac, I actually ended up having to run to the terminal. It was scary. I thought, oh man, I'm not gonna make it. Then, of course, when I did get to my terminal, finally, it turned out that we didn't even board until like shortly before we were going to depart anyway, so it was all sort of worry for nothing. But from SeaTac, we flew to Detroit, had a very slim layover there, didn't miss that flight though, went straight on to BWI, and I got off at this point and took the light rail over to the convention center. Day 0 at any con is all about prep work. You're putting together the things you need to be ready for the next day when con begins. So depending on what department you might be in staff, maybe you're building stages, maybe you're making sure all the VIPs are ready. There's a lot of prep that goes into the last few days before a con. For me, it was getting my costume together. Now, my costume for Hoofbeats is mostly stuff from my own closet that I just bring. But usually they do store the wig for me, so I had to make sure all of that was in good order, make sure the wig wasn't ratty and awful, you know? But it was a pretty easy night. I mean, I was very, very tired from the red-eye flight, obviously, but it wasn't too wiped out once I got to Baltimore and went and had dinner at this amazing Irish pub, actually. Super cool. Had a really good Reuben there. So that was day 0. The next day, the con began, so the first thing any of us mascots do is we go to the opening ceremonies because we're there to sort of introduce the con. We're kind of MCs for the whole show. So we just go out on stage and say hi to everybody, and that was a fantastic time, as always. One of my favorite things about any con is the opening and closing ceremonies. It just sort of sets the tone for the rest of the con. Immediately following opening ceremonies, I had my very first event. I moderated a panel called Dan Versus in the main stage, and that involved a discussion between myself, Gabriel Brown, who of course is Black Griffin, he's a singer, performer with Michelle Creeber, and Daniel Ingram, who of course is the composer for all the songs on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. That was a lot of fun. The way that worked is they each had theme songs, classic theme songs that they were going to talk about and critique and oftentimes compare if they had an old and new version. That was really it. If they had a reboot compared to the original, they would just compare them and talk about that. That was a lot of fun. After that, I had a panel with some of the musicians for Bronypalooza, which is our great big concert that we throw for Friday and Saturday nights at con. Just a basic Q&A. The funny thing about those panels with the musicians, they're always a little bit of a Charlie Foxtrot. If you know what I mean. It's just a lot of people, big long line of people at one table, and they've all got sort of, you know, kooky personalities. I wouldn't say kooky personalities. Kooky is sort of an archaic word. I don't know. Not kooky, something else. It's always just a weird panel, but it went pretty well. We got through a lot of decent questions, actually. And the very next thing after that was my Zootopia Minute live panel. Now, Zootopia Minute is the podcast that I do with Chocolate Pony, where each episode we take a look at 1 minute from the Disney film Zootopia. This was the second episode we had ever done live, and it was a blast. I want to thank everyone who came. It was great to see you. I suppose now it might be as good a time as any to show off this first piece of swag I got. If you did come to the panel, you may have received one of these awesome Zootopia Minute live prints that Chocolate Pony had made. It was a funny thing too. By the time this is posted, the live episode might be on the Zootopia Minute channel. If it is, you'll notice we've got me and Chaco. You got Paleo and KP. They were our guests that we knew would be there. We also thought maybe AC would be there, but there was no guarantee. He had said he had another thing at the same time and that it wasn't going to happen. He did end up showing up, and so if you watch our video of that panel on the Zootopia Minute channel, you'll notice AC is like cut off. AC Race Best is like half in frame, so sorry about that. We weren't expecting him. But yeah, really nice print, actually. Take a look. We're all there. And we all signed it. KP thought it was funny I was signing my own print, but I wanted to make sure I had everyone on there. So that's probably going on my wall. That's just one of the first nice things that I picked up. So again, if you did come to that panel, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. Second time we've ever done it live. We also did it once at Everfree, but it was a great time. And on Friday, that was basically it up until BronyPalooza, which is the big concert. And BronyPalooza was amazing. Every year it's amazing. It's a lot of fun for me to be able to be in character and go up on stage and MC for an event like that. It's really fun to just be there and get people hyped up. I love to see, all those smiling faces staring back at me. It's a big event. Music in the MLP fandom has always been a very important part of it. For a while, I think it was one of the biggest aspects of it. If there was someone who was horse famous, usually it would be the musicians that were the most horse famous people. I think now the fandom is later in its life that may be shifting a little bit, but for a long time that's how it was, and music is still a big part of it. So that was super fun. We went until 1:30 on that first night, and that was only the first night. A lot of great performances there. Eventually, I'm sure BronyCon will put the videos up, so be sure to go and find them because it's amazing. That was my Friday. Saturday, I get up and I get ready, get showered, put my costume back on, and my first panel of the day is Pony Pictionary, and actually all the mascots were there, and what this was a, what you might think, it was a game of Pictionary, but with some of the VIPs from the show, and that was just a lot of fun. We were just sort of hosting a game of Pictionary, watching these voice actors play each other and taunt each other back and forth. It was a great time. A lot of really funny drawings, too. After that, me and the other mascots, we all just kind of wandered around a bit. Actually, on our schedules, it'll be marked mandatory wandering because we want to make sure we spend time when all three of us together, because being a mascot, people are always going to want your photo. But if all three of you together, it's like the jackpot, because we're never all together as much as we should be. So we've had it put on our schedules. You're going to be all three together at these times. We wandered around for a bit. Then I had an anime dubbing panel with some of the voice actors that were involved in anime dubbing. So we had Brian Drummond, Ian Corlett, and Kathy Westluck. All three of them are super nice people. That was a super fun panel to get to hear sort of another side of voice acting. There's voice acting in English. It's sort of a different world from when you're dubbing something that was originally in another language. After that, I had another big long gap until BronyPalooza, which was possibly even more amazing the second night. I really can't understate it. I personally think concerts have dwindled a bit in Brony conventions lately. You can find evidence of that in videos of the concerts that are put online. I think the peak of the concert scene in the Brony fandom was 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. We're past that. That's when Everfree's biggest concert was, and it's gotten smaller since then. But BronyCon hasn't suffered that as much. I think a little bit it has, but it's never been as big of an issue. And that's another thing that I really enjoy about BronyPalooza specifically, is that it's revitalizing in a way. By the end of that night, though, I was extremely tired, and I went and collapsed in bed and felt very lucky that the next morning, I didn't have to get up until relatively late. Got to sleep in just a teeny weeny bit. Sunday, final day of the con. Very first panel I had at 11:30. Music Man, again with Daniel Ingram and Gabe Brown. It was a lot of fun. That was just more of a general Q&A with those two, an interview kind of thing, talking about their passions and their careers in music. And I got down there, I said, you know what, I'm going to show up with plenty of time, at least 15 minutes early. So I get out of my hotel, I walk, the few blocks it is to the convention center, and it's a lot of walking. It really does feel really far. I get down to main stage because I'm like, oh yeah, this panel's in main stage. Get down there. I'm like, okay, no one else is here yet except these people setting up. It seems like there's more chairs at that table than I need. Oh well, I'll just sit behind main stage for a bit. And then it occurs to me eventually, wait, I should probably look at the schedule again and make sure I'm in the right room. I was not in the right room. So I run up into the Hall of the Sun where it actually took place, and I tweeted out photos. It was so funny because I tweeted, I'm ready for my first panel in the main main stage here, you know, took a selfie like that. And then however many minutes later, 10 minutes later, it's like the same pose, but I'm just wearing this grumpy face in a completely different room. Like, yeah, that face you make when you show up in the wrong room for your panel. Yeah, fun. But I didn't miss it. It was a great panel. It was great to ask them more questions about music and their thoughts on music and the fandom and their own careers. A lot of fun. And then came the charity auction, which had all three of us mascots in the auction helping out. We were doing item running. We were standing by the stage just sort of being spotters for the audience to see what people were bidding on. Dusty Cat was hosting that. He often hosts charity auctions at conventions. And we managed to raise $34K total in that charity auction, which has beaten BronyCon's previous record by quite a bit, and that all went to fund cancer research, which is fantastic. I still remember a story from the first PonyCon I ever went to, the very first ever Free Northwest back in 2012. They had originally auctioned off a suit that they were wearing, a costume. It was like a glam Sweetie Belle cosplay. Super cool suit, and they wanted to donate it to the auction. It was signed by a lot of the VAs that were there at that time, but no one bid on it. And so they had to hold it, and it was just sort of upsetting. And this guy had also had one of the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con Derpies in a box. These were limited edition. You couldn't really get them anywhere. Signed by everyone that was at the show. And because his suit did not get any bids, right when the auction was going to end, he holds it up and donates it to the auction. It was incredible, first of all, to see that sort of generosity. To put aside the fact that this is your own special item and to say, I want to help this cause. The guy who won that item then gave it back to that guy. That still sticks with me as an amazing example of the generosity that is within the Brony fandom. Absolutely incredible. So $34,000 going to cancer research. Take that, cancer. And after that, all that was left was closing ceremonies, which went very nicely. Just going up there saying goodbye. And that was the con. Closing ceremonies, for me, being on staff anyway. It's that old saying, we're not sorry it's over, we're glad it happened. And being on con staff especially, I think that is the case. You know, people have probably heard the term post-con depression. It's where, oh, the convention's over, your fun weekend is over, you gotta go back to the real world. I certainly do get that, but I get that more often at cons where I'm just attending. Sakura Con, I get that. Emerald City Comic Con, I get that. Where I don't get it quite as much is at cons like Everfree or BronyCon where I'm staffing, because there's this sense of we did it. You know, we put all this work in and we made that show happen. So there's just a level of satisfaction from that. Staffing cons is very rewarding, and I would absolutely recommend anyone that enjoys cons, consider it. Because you might think, well, maybe I won't get to do all the things I would normally like to do at a con. That can be true, but what happened with me when I started staffing Everfree, which was the first con I ever staffed, was that I realized that my interests in what happened at con, what I wanted to do at con, changed when I went into that position. I no longer really cared about missing some of the other things. And you really don't necessarily miss a lot. There's still a lot of things you can put aside on your schedule that you want to see. But more to the point, staffing cons is rewarding in its very own way. And if you've ever even thought about it, think more about it. Because cons need good staff, okay? Okay, so let's show off a little bit more of the swag I got. You guys already saw the awesome Zootopia Minute print. I'll give you another look at that. Just a really great print. Chocolate Pony's art style is amazing, and it's really fun working with him on this podcast. Please do give us a listen if you haven't yet. What else? As far as posters go, I also got this Bronypalooza poster, which is not, you know, signed by anyone or anything, but these were just up for grabs in the event staff office after the con closed out. And it's pretty cool. It might go up on my wall somewhere. Just a fun little poster like that, commemorating the show. Now, at cons in the past, when I first started going to conventions, I would always get tons of stuff from the vendors hall. As I've been to more and more cons, that has happened less and less. This year, I bought exactly one item from the con store, and it was from Chocolate Pony, because he made these amazing branded crab hats. If you don't know, Baltimore is known for its seafood or something, I guess. They're known for the crab hats anyway. There's some sort of crab motif that this city has. And so the city, like random shops on the waterfront will sell these crab hats. They're pretty generic. Choco actually bought some online ahead of time, and he put on this really cool custom decal that says Baltimore on it. And it's got those ponies on there. So I think that's pretty cool. Just a fun little thing, my crab hat here. I got my staff swag as well. Staff, you always get, well, actually, you get a shirt. This is my staff shirt, BronyCon Staff 2017. Every year you get a staff shirt. It's pretty cool. But you also get a cool little tote bag. These bags are actually really nice. I don't know what the technical term is. I call it a knapsack, but I don't think that's correct. It's just one of those drawstring closing ones that you just can sling around your shoulder. And I've always thought it was super convenient. I end up using these that I get from con when I go to festivals and stuff like that, just because it's super light. It's not like as heavy as a backpack is. They're really nice. And that also came with a BronyCon water bottle, which is also super cool. It says BronyCon right on there. Pretty nice. Okay, I lied. I did get more things from the vendor's hall, but it wasn't really a vendor, it was the con store. It was BronyCon's own merch table. One of those things is every year I've gone, I have gotten the plush version of myself, because the con always sells plushies of all the mascots. So here is this year's plushie for Hoofbeats. This is Mini-Me, and I like this a lot, actually. This looks like the same design they've used in years past. It's just a lot bigger, actually. If you look, here is last year's. This is 2016, and this one is 2015. These are for all the years I've been to this con. You can see it's basically a blown-up version of 2015, and it's funny because people always said about this that Hoofbeats looks sad. Can you see that? I think they're kind of right. It looks like he's sad or upset about something. I think the idea was that it was supposed to be a smirk, like a kind of thing, but I agree, it does kind of look sad. So here's 2015. 2016 was exactly the same, but with a scarf. And then this year is just a huge version, which is nice. I think they were a little more expensive this year, but it's really cool. So I will continue to collect mini-me's for as long as I go to this con until I create an army of them and take over the world. Also from the con store, because as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have it, and it's ridiculous. You're gonna groan, but you see that? That is a BronyCon branded fidget spinner. Is that not the most ridiculous, stupid thing you have ever seen? So obviously I had to have it. I've never had any sort of fidget spinner before, so I figured my first fidget spinner, why not make it a BronyCon fidget spinner? And you know, I was expecting it to be pretty cheap, but actually it spins really well. Like, you can barely tap it, and it's pretty low friction. I mean, I don't have a lot of reference, but I've seen other ones that aren't quite this good. So it'll go for a while. I mean, I timed it. The fastest I could spin it, it stayed spinning for like 2.5 minutes, which is pretty nice. So yes, BronyCon fidget spinner of ridiculousness. Apologies in advance. I don't know. I guess I'm trash now. Ha! Now. Other than that, the only other things I got, I guess I can show you my con badge. I was gonna wear it in this video, but it's too noisy for the microphone. I always keep con badges from every year that I go to any sort of con because I think they're great. So here it is. I got my super unique VIP one-of-a-kind Hoofbeats mascot badge, which is pretty great. But we also get the badge with our actual name on it. We didn't get these mascot ones till like halfway through Saturday. It was really late. And then backstage pass on there as well, and a neat little bottle cap that one of the vendors gave to each of us with our cutie mark on it. So that's pretty cool. Look, I got a Zootopia Minute button on there as well. And then other than that, there's just stuff people gave me. Some Team Skull cosplayers gave me this foil Magikarp Pokemon card. There we go. It's all shiny. And then this thing. This, probably wondering what the heck is this. This is this decal that they put on the concrete, the pavement outside of the convention center. And my friend Eric, who I was rooming with, grabbed this and brought it to our room without me knowing at the end of the con. And it was so funny because I had no idea that he was gonna grab it, and so my reaction was kind of amazing. Here's what that looked like. I don't have a huge amount to pack. Still have to try my soda. You ever heard of
Really?
What? That's awesome! Dude, what How's that even sticking? What's
the glue never gave out.
Yeah, it was... It was pretty surprising. And then we ended up watching that video of me over and over again afterwards because we thought it was so funny. So I brought it home. Problem is, the way I packed it is I just folded it in half, and there's adhesive on here to keep it stuck to the concrete, and now I don't know how to get it apart again, so I'm gonna have to figure that out somehow. And now perhaps one of the favorite things I brought back. This is a treat cream soda with a sticker of hoofbeats on it. See that? A little sticker of myself on there. Pretty cool. And this was brought to me by my friend Bravery. Shout out to Bravery. Thank you so much for this soda. It was so funny because when he gave this to me, I said, "Oh, what kind of soda is this?" And he's like, "It's cream soda. It says so right on the label." And yeah, it does say cream soda. Thing is, I have never heard of red cream soda in my life. And I told him that. I'm like, red cream soda? Cream soda is never red. It's cream colored. It's like light brown, right? And he thought that was insane. He'd never seen light brown cream soda. He's like, "No, all cream soda's red, right?" I don't think so. He's from Pennsylvania. So you Pennsylvania people can tell me if it's all red over there. I've never seen red cream soda. Leave a comment down below about what color cream soda is in your state. Anyway, Bravery, again, thank you so much for this. I've been keeping this in the fridge, so I think we're gonna do our little moment of truth taste test here. This also came back in my bag in the plane, so I can feel that the pressure may have built up, so this may be bad. So we're gonna have to do this carefully here. Real slow. Oh. Trick is to let the gas out really slowly. That smells amazing. All right, Bravery, cheers. This one's for you. Oh my gosh, that is delicious. That's actually... I don't know if it's the color playing mind games with me, but this is probably better than any cream soda I've had. That is really flavorful. Cream sodas I've had before are either too sweet or just too carbonated in some way. This is a really nice balance of... Don't mind me. The rest of the video is just me drinking this soda. I should close that before that happens. That is amazing. Thank you, Bravery. So that's all the swag I got, really. I don't really know if there's much left to say, except that I want to come back and do it again next year. You know, every year I do this, leading up to it is always so stressful. I'm stressing over getting everything together, making sure I have everything packed, that I didn't leave any loose ends. And on top of that, every year that I've done this, there's always been something else going on in my personal life that have made aspects of the trip difficult. And I'm not going to go into it, but at the end of the day, or at the end of the weekend, it really is always worth it to do this. I've done it 3 years, there must be a reason I keep coming back, right? It really is a really rewarding job, and it's a great con. You know, during weekend of con, I had tons of people, dozens of people come up to me and tell me about how much fun they were having, what the con has done for them, how it's helped them improve their lives. And these are people that are completely sincere about it. I had one guy come up to me late on Saturday night just to say hi because he had recognized me from being around the con, and he just wanted to thank me personally, like, I guess as me being a representative of the con. He wanted to thank me for it because it was his third year too. And he was telling me all about how this con, BronyCon, had literally changed his life and changed it for the better. That he used to be very lonely and that he had problems at home and all these stresses in his life. And he didn't feel like he had many friends. And when he came to BronyCon, he met a ton of people, turned his life around, and it made him feel like he had a community where he belonged. And if you've never been to a con before, that might sound crazy, but guys, I am completely serious when I say it's true. I can easily say the same thing about cons in my life. I do not know where I would be today without the friends that I have made through cons and through this fandom. And I know that this fandom particularly, it's been attractive to people that maybe have social anxiety or problems like that. If you're afraid of going to a con, don't be. I had a listener of our Zootopia podcast write me an email lately asking for advice about going to cons, saying, what if I have to room with people and I don't know them? What if I don't find anyone? What if I'm going on my own and I don't have friends with me? Don't stress it. Almost all of the people that I go to cons with today and room with and spend all of my time with are people that I met at cons. It really is incredible because you might not go to a con with friends, but you will come back with some. And I just think that BronyCon specifically is just a shining example of how cons can have a serious positive impact on people's life. And I feel incredibly privileged to be a part of it. And that's why no matter how stressful it can be each year leading up, I know at the end of the weekend, I'm always going to say, I'll come back. Let's do it again. Let's do it next year. Let's make it better. I want to keep doing this for as long as I can. So I think I have rambled on long enough. Guys, if you were at BronyCon, I hope you had a great time. I know I did. If you said hi to me, thanks so much. I love to meet people at cons. If you took photos with me or any of the other mascots or all of us, I'd love to see those too. So if you got a link, go ahead and send that in the comments. And if you were at BronyCon, in the comments, do let me know just how your con went because I'd love to hear your stories. Alrighty, that is going to be it for now. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.